In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. Welcome to representing Farrakhan on social media, and As-Salaam Alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Brother Kaleem Muhammad. I'm from Muhammad's Mosque number 4 in Washington, D.C. And today we will be having the Nation of Islam Youth Committee's live session, which is called Representing Farrakhan on Social Media. I'm going to start out by introducing our panelists for today's live. Sister Nzinga, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
As-Salaam. My name is Sister Nzinga Muhammad. I currently attend Muhammad Mosque number 25 in Newark, New Jersey. I'm also a grad student at NYU studying history.
All right, Brother Jevon, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
As-Salaam Alaikum. My name is Brother Jevon X. I currently live in Orlando, Florida, and I attend Muhammad Mosque 47 in Tampa. I am a realtor, but I'm also about to start college for my first semester, majoring in construction management.
And Sister Madinah, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, sir. As-Salaam Alaikum. Like he said, my name is Sister Madinah. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I go to Mosque number 2, and I have a bachelor's degree in neuroscience. I just graduated college. Praise to Allah.
Praise belongs to Allah. So for those who are watching through live stream, if you have any questions for the panelists at any time, please add them to the chat and we will try to get to them during the live. And without further ado, we can get right into the questions. All right, the first question we have is, how has social media assisted you and affected you in your process of integrating with the nation and becoming more one with the community and family aspect of the Nation of Islam? And that's open for anyone to take it, just whoever wants to go first.
Can you re-ask the question?
How has social media assisted you in the process of integrating more and becoming more one and united with the members of the Nation of Islam?
I can go. So I would say that social media has helped me become more integrated with some of the members of the Nation of Islam because, growing up, I went to Muhammad University. I grew up going to Muhammad University. I knew those people. I knew those youth. But as I got older, you're kind of looking to expand, your group and just try to see like who else is out there. And social media, particularly at that time, Instagram and different other messaging services allowed me to connect with believers all across the country. That's how I met Sister Nzinga. That's how I meet all the people that I know. We were definitely younger back then. But a lot of the friends that I've had, some of the sisters, some of the brothers, I was definitely able to connect with them more. And we're also able from that, as we got older, able to bond through the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and make moves, like this, for example, the Youth Committee members of the Nation of Islam, like this would not have been possible had it not been for social media's impact on how we're able to connect with each other. Even though I'm from Chicago, people are from, Rochester and Newark, New Jersey, people are from, Orlando, Florida, like it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for social media. So that's how I've been able to use it on my end.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add to that question?
Yeah. Oh, Jamal, you was gonna go? Oh, okay. Yeah, like Sister Medina said, we were very young at that age. And that's how we met. That's how most of my closest friends, I've met them through social media. But also during that time, I was about 13, 14. Yeah, when I first got on 13, 14. And so I was in that kind of weird person. I was in that kind of weird stage, but I wasn't exactly Vanguard 16-8. I wasn't registered at all in the nation. But I was born in the nation, but I wasn't Children's Village child age. You know what I mean? Like I was somewhere in between that place where I was trying to find my role and find my place in the nation because I wasn't old enough to hold a post, but I wasn't young enough to be playing with the children, my mother could eat the Children's Village. So it was that weird spot for me. And so social media became a post, essentially. Social media retweeting and disseminating the minister's lectures all across social media, it became a post. It gave me something to do, and it connected myself and my peer group in a way that I don't think we would have connected if we didn't have social media, especially being so far away. And I mean, we've heard Jersey, we've heard Chicago, we've heard Tampa, like we've hearing all these different places, these different regions, and not everyone goes to Savior's Day every year. You know, not everyone goes to Holy Day of Atonement every year or a national training every year. So social media became and is a way for us to really connect on levels that we really might not have had the chance before.
Thank you very much for that answer. Brother Jevon, would you like to answer?
Yes, sir. For me, social media has been key in my journey and development this far in the nation, because for those who know or don't know, I was in the military when I first heard about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so as I'm inquiring more, as I'm learning more, and as I'm studying more, I'm sharing that which I'm learning, but I'm also looking for, a peer group. Like my sister said, they found their peers via social media. Initially, I tell people this all the time. I didn't even know Black people like this existed. So I'm using social media to get connected. And for those who know how pivotal the master call is for me, the master call played such a huge role in me even staying in the nation, because I couldn't locally, I'm isolated from the nearest mosque, and it was pandemic time. So I didn't really have anybody to connect with, mosque not open, so I'm watching the webcast, but I'm like, where everybody at? And so once I found out about the master call via Sister Anissa's Instagram page and, got connected through there, now I've been blessed with so many opportunities and been able to connect with so many people throughout our nation just because of social media. So it's been very helpful and key in my journey and development. So that's my answer, sir.
Praise belongs to Allah. And just continuing on that tip, Brother Jevon, what exactly is the master call, and how has being a part of the master call affected how you represent Farrakhan on social media?
Wow. So the master call was started by our dear sister Anissa Muhammad. She's from New Jersey. Can't remember what exact mosque, but she's on Instagram at asc.ena, I think. And she started the master call during the pandemic, June 4th, 2020, and was committing to studying, because she saw the lack in her personal life. And also, as a collective, we need to study more, but also providing an environment where it's not secluded to just believers or those who want to study, but we offer, a public platform for people who may be interested in the nation, but not ready to go to the mosque, right? Sister Anissa used the analogy. It's like a pit stop on your way to the mosque, or like it's a ride to the mosque. So you may not be able to or be ready to join just yet, but you want to study. You like what you're hearing. You want to learn more. So every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we commit to studying strictly the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Right now, we're reading Message to the Black Man on Tuesdays, and Our Savior Has Arrived for the second time on Thursdays and Saturdays. It starts at 6 Eastern to 7:45, and we've been consistent. We barely have to cancel a call, and we've also had very powerful interviews as well. We've had Student Minister Ishmael. We've had Sister Dr. Ava, may Allah forever be pleased. We've had Brother Abdul Qiyam, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, so many stars throughout our nation, and just giving an outlet for people to learn and study more. And so with me personally, it has kept me, one, consistent in studying. It's always giving me an opportunity. If I can't make it to my class, then, hey, I know I can hop on the master call, not to replace my class, but more so for a makeup, you know what I'm saying? To stay in the process. And how it's helped me on social media, people know who are always on the master call how big I am on quoting the minister verbatim and asking for a source. Throughout my journey and development, being new, I used to just post the minister, whatever I see, I'll repost it. But now, as I'm learning how one important and key it is to quote him verbatim exactly how he said it, and also telling the people where they can go verify what it is I just said or what I said that he said, because, you know, it's in a time like this, I'll never forget when I was in processing, my student minister, he said, one wrong word can make a devil. And the reason he told me that is because in Message to the Black Man, for those who don't know, he said it's best to get all of our books from the Final Call store, not Amazon, because people have made their own publishing companies where they make subtle changes in the book. And so some of the information can be incorrect. And so that always stuck with me. So now I'm very big on being right and exact when it comes to quoting our leader, teacher, and guide, because I don't want anybody messing up what I say. So I definitely don't want to mess up what he was saying. So I try to do my best. Mind you, I said do my best to be right and exact when it comes to representing the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the guidance of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. But the master call played a key role in that, because people began to ask me, Brother Jevon, where'd you get that quote from? Where can I read that? So I'm having to make sure that when I say something, I can provide context and a source for them to go look further. And so that's actually in our code of conduct on the master call, is to cite a source, you know, and try to be right and exact. So I would say that's how it's helped for my representation on social media.
Thank you very much for that answer, sir. For Sister Medina, what is I Deny, and how has being a part of I Deny impacted your representation of Minister Farrakhan on social media?
Yes, sir. I Deny stands for I, Divine Essence in You, and it is a branch of our MGT and GCC class, our Muslim Girls Training and General Civilization class, in which it is supposed to inspire sisters to love themselves, to cherish themselves, and it's supposed to promote chastity. So we have a whole bunch of events dedicated to self-love, knowledge of self, especially for women, and inspiring chastity and self-value in women. And you said, how has it helped me reflect? Can you repeat that part of the question?
And how has being a part of I Deny impacted your representation of Minister Farrakhan on social media?
Well, many people don't know or don't remember, I Deny started, or at least a group of sisters, it started from our Reflecting Farrakhan challenge, where we were in the middle of COVID. We had our online Saviors Day, and our captain, Sister Captain Naima, very beautiful sister, she wanted us to have a Reflecting Farrakhan challenge, to challenge the sisters to represent ourselves on social media in a certain way and just recalibrate our minds. So it started from that. And it made us, you know, focus on how we presented ourselves, how we're presenting the minister, how we're just presenting everything that we say that we represent. And from there, we started I Deny. A few months later, after that was very successful, we had like tens of thousands of posts, and people were very consistent, a 30-day challenge. And for me, after becoming a part of I Deny and being sort of like a representation for the sisters, it kind of helped me be mindful of the types of things that I post. I was already mindful, but to know that regardless of if I'm a part of I Deny or anything else, I'm a part of the Nation of Islam. And because I'm a part of the Nation of Islam, I know that I have to represent myself a certain way because my name is Medina Muhammad. And sometimes, you know, we might be feeling some type of way, you know, some type of controversy is on. It's like, we want to be the first to say it. Being a part of I Deny and being a part of Reflecting Farrakhan made me think, like, especially during the times of COVID, like Brother Jevon was literally saying, like, in the time of COVID, he was getting into the Nation of Islam. So one wrong move on my part as a sister in the Nation of Islam representing myself could have made him be like, I don't know. So it's so key. Being a part of I Deny was so key for me to understand just how important it was to represent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the way that I say that I want to. You know, I say I'm a vanguard, I say I'm an MGT, I say I'm a part of the Nation of Islam. Social media, whatever type of issues that I have, social media doesn't have to be involved in that. Social media should be my best representation of myself, because I know I connected with my peers on there. That means everybody else can connect with me on there as well. And everybody is not Muslim. I have people that are not Muslim that are in my peer group, and I want to make sure that I'm not confusing anybody. And having a position like being on I Deny, I'm humbled by being a part of I Deny and other things. Having that position, it really is my responsibility to not confuse people, and to know that to represent that we have a stance and I have a stance. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
It did. It was a great answer. For Sister Nzinga, the question is, can you share your experience as a part of the Farrakhan Twitter army and explain how that has impacted your defense and representation of Minister Farrakhan?
Yes, sir. Oh, Farrakhan Twitter army, I joined officially when I was about 13 years old. And like similar to what everyone else was saying in terms of representation, you know, we're on social media where your words never really die. Even if you delete something, your words live on there forever. So in the same spirit of everyone else, you know, we have to be right and exact. With that, being in the Farrakhan Twitter army helped me understand the importance of citation, understand the importance of context, understand the importance of what the minister said, not getting down in the gutter with other people. And for those who don't know, the Farrakhan Twitter army is essentially a, how would you call it? Cadre, if you will, of people who use Twitter as a way, specifically Twitter, but expanded to other platforms, but started on Twitter, a way for believers to spread and disseminate the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And so being part of that at such a young age, you know, it gave me something to do in the nation while still figuring things out, but it also showed the importance of the nation and what we're teaching, and gave us a way to interact with other people who had questions. And those questions, not even just on Twitter, but on Facebook as well, became a compilation. And we call those the Teachings 2.0, right? Volumes 1 and 2. So those questions have become life-saving questions given to the minister who answered them. And now we have his words that live on through social media. So yeah, all praises to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. My next question is this. Why is it important to be so right and exact in citing the minister and the messenger's words? And Brother Jevon, you touched on this earlier. And this question is open to anybody who wants to answer it.
You said, why is it important?
Yes, why is it so important to be right and exact in citing the minister and the messenger's words?
So the minister was banned for 30 years from the United Kingdom because of some words that people, one, took out of context, and two, didn't understand the depth of what he was saying, right? The minister was charged with leading a chant in 2019 when he visited Iran, right? And they falsely charged him, right? So we have all these, we can cite throughout history from 1984 up to now, really, 1930s, really, up to now, where people have misconstrued things from the nation, right? And it has turned into completely altering of events, right? He doesn't have an Instagram page now, right? Because of what people have taken out of context from him. So it's important to put everything into context, because like he said during the criteria message, people live and die by truth. They live by truth and they die by falsehood, right? So we have so many reasons why we should keep things into context, because we know what it's like for things to be taken out of context, i.e. being banned from another country, you know, or being charged while you're in another country with saying something you didn't really say, right? And that doesn't even just go for the minister. It does not, it should go for the minister, of course. That goes for people who we don't even like. You know, I've seen so many instances where so-and-so is reposting a video of a politician or whoever, right? And refuses to look into the truth of what they said or post what they actually said. Instead, it's just a soundbite, right? So we can't expect people to respect us and what the minister says and then go around and do worse to other people. It's not going to work.
Praise belongs to Allah. Sister Medina, you wanted to answer?
Yes, sir. And I just wanted to add to what Sister Nzinga said, coming from a college space, Nzinga studies history. I, was in school and I write. It's just a common practice to cite your sources, like to give people credit, to make sure people can refer back to the video if they want to add more context, or if they're interested in what the minister said, they're looking for that specific lecture to find something that they can hear, they need those sources. So it's just a common practice. And we consider ourselves researchers and scientists and things like that. So it's just a very helpful way to engage people, because if we're trying to put out, academic work, and sometimes social media, like, sometimes takes the face of academic work. You're posting a 60-second, 120-second clip of a video that's speaking about something intellectual. So because you're doing that, and because, we're trying to engage people with our social media posts, it's very important to cite your sources. Put the title, put where you can find it on YouTube, where you got it. Because if you were writing a paper in school, just whether you were in high school or in college, they're asking you to, use MLA format, APA format, and they're asking you, okay, put the title, put the site, put the page number, because it's easier for people to find. Everybody's not necessarily against you, and everything might not be about a soundbite. It's just about how strategic and how organized we're trying to be. And so we can allow people to want to look more into what we're providing, whether they're trying to debate against it or whether they're trying to agree with it. It's just we consider ourselves of a certain stature. So it's very important that we are organized, especially in this world where that's how they run things. We have to be able to meet their mark in, journalism, writing, and, just presenting ourselves so that we can have the most clarity on what we're trying to, promote.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that answer. Brother Jevon, would you like to add to that?
Yes, and I actually would just like to lift up words from the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, because, as I'm learning and studying, because like I said, at first, I'm just posting whatever, because I'm so excited, you know what I'm saying? And I want people to get the message. But as I'm learning on how important it is, like my sister said, to cite your sources and be right and exact. And I got this, let me cite my source. I got this from an interview conducted by student minister Willie of Mos 46 with our brother Abdul Qiyam, and it's titled Social Media and Ministry on YouTube. And the YouTube channel is Ministry Resource 5. So you can go look up, because Brother Qiyam was at, the minister's table, and that's where he got these words from. So the minister said this: what you have to say from yourself is not the power of the resurrection. The power of the resurrection is rooted in you saying what God revealed, not what you said. And I want you, if you say something that I said, make sure you say it the way I said it. Make sure you say it the way he, in parentheses, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, said it. Because not doing so is what corrupted the hadith. And so we know, or for those who don't know, hadith is sayings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And in the Orthodox or traditional Muslim world, there's this big debate or fiasco on what hadith is authentic and what is not authentic. Or, you take a little snippet of what he said or what somebody said that he said, but you don't have the context, so you can't see if it's reliable. So we don't want to corrupt the truth that God has revealed by putting our own twist or, not being right and exact, because we're taught that, mistakes shall not exist. So even if you do make a mistake, like me, I'm not above correction. People know I do my best to post the minister every day. But if somebody sees I misspelled a word, I want you to swipe up and say, hey, you misspelled that, or I think you meant this or whatnot, because it doesn't mean mistakes won't happen, but they shouldn't exist. So we need to make sure we do our best to be correct, but also be humble enough to be corrected. If somebody knows that you're wrong, because the Quran tells us, mix not up truth with falsehood. So we want to make sure that when we represent our leader, teacher, and guide, that we're giving the people the same guidance that we're getting from him, not something from ourselves, because the Quran says, do not raise your voice above the messengers. So we don't want what we have to say to be more prominent and overpower the voice of what God and his representative have to say.
Praise belongs to Allah. That was a great answer. And that will segue us into our next question, which is, when dealing with others who may have a different opinion or perspective than what we are taught in the Nation of Islam, what is the best manner in which to deal with them? Anyone can answer this.
The best manner to deal with someone who might not have the same opinion as you is to deal with them in truth and to strive to rise above emotion into the thinking of God. Like Sister Nzinga said, I don't really know exactly what Sister Nzinga said. I don't want to misquote her, but basically you don't go into the gutter with somebody who's already trying to, come at you in a certain way. And you have to be mindful of what is important to respond to. If somebody's genuinely asking you a question pertaining to what we believe, then it makes sense to answer by using a quote or guiding them to a book or something, or asking them to step into your DMs. But if somebody's saying, man, that Farrakhan dude, he don't know what he's talking about, da-da-da-da-da, sometimes you got to say it's not really important to respond to that. You have to be mindful and have that type of discernment. But we always deal with our people, regardless of what perception they have of us or what opinion they might have, however they come at us, we deal with them in the best of manners. Because like I said before, and like we all said, we have to represent ourselves in a way. And we learned from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan how he deals with people who might oppose him. He sat in rooms with people who might oppose him. He sat in arenas with people who might oppose him or might have different opinions or views who might not agree with what he said, but he didn't start cussing at them, yelling at them and saying, well, I'm right, da-da-da. No, we deal with people in the truth, and we don't fight with flesh and blood. So we just have to make sure that we have a certain level of discernment and are able to, one, the most important part, and that's why the master call is important, any other call, any study group, whatever is important, because in order to deal with people who oppose you, you have to study and know the facts. Sometimes it's easy for us to get emotional because we don't know how to deal with people with our words. So we're like, oh, I'm so mad, da, 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 da. But if somebody says, like they always say, the Nation of Islam is shirk, you can just bring them with something, shirk meaning haram, or like is against the principles what's taught, is basically, against God, essentially. You can bring some type of truth, a quote, a lecture from the minister, or you can say, y'all always say this, y'all never know what y'all talking about. The emotions come up when we haven't necessarily been able to say, you know what, rise above emotions to the thinking of God. How would the minister respond to this? How has he responded to this? Refer back to that lecture that like. One of my favorite lectures is the True Mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's one of my favorite lectures because the minister goes through that specific topic and explains it very thoroughly. So we have to be studied and well-versed in the teachings and know that if we don't know the answer to something clearly, we also should not respond to somebody. So I think, like I said, we have to be mindful and have a certain level of discernment. Am I emotionally well enough to respond to this person? Am I representing well in responding to this person and what I have typed? And do I know enough about this topic to speak from my own words, or should I just pull from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan or the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is the best way to pull anyway. So.
Praise belongs to Allah. Thank you very much for that answer. Does anyone else want to add to that?
Yes, I'll add very briefly. Recently on the master call, we interviewed Dr. Wesley Muhammad for our 3-year anniversary. And something that he said that really stuck out to me was that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has taught him, when, delivering a lecture, to always start with what God revealed. And so I take that same mindset and attitude when people do have questions, even if I feel like I have the knowledge base or wherewithal to just answer it. And sometimes, you can do that and it's justified, but I do my best. If I know, I do know who's best qualified to speak on the subject. So if I can pull from what's already been said, then that's what I strive to do, because the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and by the way, I just want to put this in there, I'm not the standard when it comes to using social media. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan is the standard when it comes to using social media, and I strive to meet that standard. I can't say I'm there yet, but that's what I'm striving to do. And we have a wise use or proper use of social media guidebook. And in this, he said, this is a quote from The Time and What Must Be Done. He said, I would also like for the ministers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under my leadership to respond intelligently to the people who are raising questions, even those who doubt the truth of what we are saying and are exclaiming their vitriol and bitterness to what they are hearing from us. But never, ever should we go down in the gutter with those who choose to go there. So I try to take on that same attitude and mindset, because the people are entitled to what they believe in their opinion, even if it opposes what we have to say. But we should always handle our people in the best of manners and do like the Quran says, argue in the best of manners. We're justified in responding to people and what they have to say. But like Sister Medina said, sometimes you have to have that spirit of discernment. Say, is it even worth my time if you know where it can lead to getting down in the gutter, which is what we never want to do, because we always have to remember, if we have X or Muhammad behind our name, we're not just representing ourselves, but we're representing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Fard Muhammad, and the entire nation of Islam. And we don't want to be guilty of misrepresenting or, dirtying or throwing dirt on their good names. So that's what I would say to that.
All praise belongs to Allah. That was a great answer. Sister Nzinga, do you have an answer to this question?
I do. I think what we need to realize as well is that if what we believe we're saying is revelation, then that means that there's people who don't know it. Because if they knew it, it wouldn't be revelation. It'd be common knowledge. So that means when we are coming to people, what we're essentially giving to them is something that is so profound that the person receiving it has to come to terms with, if they never ran into it before, has to come to terms with the fact that what they have known previously all of their lives is either not true or has been profoundly misrepresented. And for a lot of people, that's scary. So to know that all your life you've been lied to is very scary. So of course they're going to be, have a little aversion to it. Of course they're going to be a little bit shaky. Of course they're going to be a little bit better, because if you've been told one thing all your life and someone else comes along and shakes it all up and just leaves it like that, you're not going to be comfortable. I mean, I was born in the nation, so I personally don't have this experience, but our parents, for example, other believers who are coming in, not everyone accepted on their first day to the mosque. They just didn't. So we can't expect people to hear something new for the first time and then just hop in a MGT, FOY uniform the next day. No, it doesn't work like that. Not for everybody. Now, some of us are ready, so pray to Allah, but that's not the case for everybody. Even those of us born in the nation, right? Not everyone, got registered at 12 or 16 or what, it took time. So understand, you have to be patient with our people, right? Some people who are asking a question are simply asking a question. They're not trying to fight. They just have never heard it before because it's revelation. If they had, they wouldn't be having this conversation. So we have to really just be patient with our people, honestly, truly. Even if they're not Black people, still have patience, or Muslims still have patience with them. But also just having that understanding. And if they are talking crazy, and I've dealt with a lot of crazy people, I've dealt with a lot of threats and cussing and all of that at a very young age. I get it. The block button is a thing. If it gets down to that, the block button is a beautiful button. And that will save a lot of time, a lot of energy, right? And again, like everyone else saying, what would the minister do? What would he do? And sometimes he might have a defense, right? And he might say something, or he might say, take it and let it alone, and goes on to the next topic. Like somebody was saying, pick your battles and just know what's worth and what's not. But we also have to really have the understanding that not even in our own friend group do we think the same. So sometimes you just gotta let people rock and let them deal how they deal with, and leave it alone. Because at the end of the day, we gonna be free, whether in God or not, right? That's what the minister said. So we just have to have that discernment.
Thank you for that answer. The next question is, what is the importance of not just reposting the word of the minister and the messenger, but making sure to attempt to reflect their teaching in real life?
So I would say to that, in truth, there's a scripture, faith without works is dead. And it's easy to repost, but the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said at the youth summit this past Savior's Day, you are not, and excuse me, this may be a word or two off, but he said, who you show up as is not who you are. And during the Swan Song, he also said, your inner life prepares you for your outer life. And so I think it's very, very key, because the practical application of what we have been given is what confirms what you are saying and what you are sharing. But if people can't see, I'll just use How to Eat to Live for a perfect example. You could talk about how eating 1 meal a day does this to the immune system, fasting regenerates the blood cells and this and that. But nobody has ever seen you or heard you talk about fasting yourself. Nobody has heard you say, I'm fasting right now. Every time they see you, you might be eating something, snacking. And that's not a slight thing, but I'm just using that as an example, is that the people will see the benefit when they see you doing it. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, I think it was at the installment of a reverend in Chicago, it's slipping my name right now, but he had on the black button up, and he spoke and addressed the audience, and he was talking about us involved in the ministry of Jesus, going out to the streets and making followers of Jesus Christ. But he said, you cannot make the people that which you are not. I was like, wow, you got to really think about that. And I can say this personally. Like I said, I'm not the standard. There have been times where I'm sharing and it's like, I don't even want to share right now because I just need to be working on me. Like, I see a clip, man, he teaching, but I'm battling with that right now. Like, let me not sit here and just make it seem as though I'm perfect. Because that's one thing I really strive to make sure that I'm striving and I'm studying right along with everybody else. Hence to why that's really my motivation for sharing, because even just last night, I was facing some difficulty. So let me go ahead and post something, because I know somebody else might be struggling too on what it takes to overcome difficulty and things like that. But it's your inner life that will really be the building block of being effective in raising the dead via social media, because people see you. At least me, I'm not secluded to only social media. I mean, we have real lives. We have to live in reality. So are the people seeing what they see via social media when they see me out in public? So I think that's very key, is to strive to apply what it is we've been given that will make us effective in sharing and raising the dead via social media.
I definitely agree with Brother Jevon. I saw this some time ago. It was basically the idea that, we're striving to be like a walking Quran. There's like a lot of people who have never heard of who the minister is. They don't know who the messenger is. They barely know what the Nation of Islam is, but they see you. So we're striving every day to be a representation of that. So they might have never even opened a Quran or a Bible or anything, never been religious. We're striving to embody that, because the more that we are accepting our own and being ourselves and living in righteousness, the more that we're walking around these streets, being ourselves, representing the Nation of Islam in a good light, the more people that we attract. And they say, where'd you learn how to do that? Where'd you get that information? The Nation of Islam. And like Brother Jevon said, unless we stay in our room all day and never walk out our house, we see people every day. So when we walk out, we don't just, you don't just pretend to be a part of the Nation of Islam on social media, and then we walk outside and just be doing any kind of thing. We strive to walk outside because we know that social media is just an extension of what we have. What we have already is our physical being and the ability to impress upon people righteousness all the time, love, peace all the time. We don't just have that choice on social media. Social media is a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to go on there and disseminate the teachings of Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to share our gifts and talents, to show how Allah has changed us and affected us and brought us out of the dark places that we've been in. But that's social media. We have so many. Networking is really the way. It's been the way our entire lives in order to make real changes in our communities. And the people that are looking at us, people tell me all the time, like, people are always looking at you. And if you're not representing well, they see you, they follow you on social media, but they see you in person. Like I said before, you don't want to cause any confusion. Allah is not the author of confusion. So that's why we really strive to represent ourselves in a good light, because we don't want to be caught being false. We want to be caught standing in righteousness and being true. So we walk in that same energy so that we can, not even for anybody else, for ourselves, to know that we're not telling a lie, because the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said, I cannot tell you exactly where it's from, but he said that lies are deadly. He said, stop telling lies, stop saying you are what you are not. And if I'm striving to be a righteous Muslim, then I have to stand in that, whether I might have issues sometimes, I might have my shortcomings, but people can see right through you. They can see right through the energy that you possess. They can see right through your heart. And if you possess that Islamic spirit, walking around and you study, you know the teachings, and you have that faith base, when they see you on social media, they'll be like, man, I'm gonna click this link. When they see you doing whatever, I'm not judging anybody. When they see you in one way and they go to your Instagram, they might be like, I don't know, I'm a little confused. So I don't know if I should click that. And you might be interfering with somebody else by not representing yourself in the best way.
Thank you for that answer, Sister Nzinga. Do you have anything to add?
I don't, because they took all my points. So I'll just say what they said. I'll stamp that, what they said.
Yes, I thought that was beautiful. And I just thought that at the end, what Sister Medina said, that struck me, because it just reminds me of, like, with magnets, opposites attract. And if you are displaying that which could be attractive to our people because it's opposite, but then they see you again in a light that is just like them, they could think to themselves, why would I join this Nation of Islam? And the people in the Nation of Islam don't act any different from me. You're showing that the clean glass that you're supposed to be, in conjunction with the dirty glass, is really not all as clean as it seems. And so you're actually showing a bad light on the minister and the messenger, because they're thinking, if that's what their teaching produces, then there's no point in me joining, because they act just like me. So it's very important, like you all said, that we display, whenever we're out and about or whenever we're on social media, the best that we can, to the best of our abilities, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, because we could be the only Bible or Quran that our people ever read. So that's just what that reminded me of. And we only have probably just a few more questions. So I was going to ask this: are there any times when you feel as if people are not viewing or appreciating the work that you're doing on behalf of the minister? How do you keep spreading the word when you are tired or at a loss of motivation to do it? This question's open for anybody.
So how do I feel when people don't appreciate?
Do you ever feel as if people are not viewing or appreciating your work on behalf of the minister? And how do you keep doing the work and spreading the word when you're tired or you feel underappreciated?
Ooh. Well, one, I would say, keep in mind the bigger picture here. It's not about me. These aren't my words. It's not about me. These aren't my teachings I originated. We're always pointing back to the three, but really pointing back to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? That's what we're pointing back to. So, but of course, human nature wants, to be appreciated for what we are doing, but we have to also be humble and just know that Allah sees all. And even if you're not getting whatever recognition you think you deserve from whoever, know that Allah sees that, and that's not going to go to waste. For me, have I gotten, I would say, discouraged? Absolutely, because again, I was young, still young, but I was younger. and dealing with these grown adults who are cussing me out every day, for just saying that God is a man. And I was just being bullied, really cyber bullied every day in and day out. I had to take a break. That's just what happens sometimes. Sometimes you just need a break from it all, and so, but you got to get back in the ring at some point. But I think that understanding that social media is very draining, as much as it is awesome, it's really cool, and you can connect with people and you can post this. That's great, that's dope. But it's draining. It's tired because our brains but they often do look at the thoughts and opinions of millions, thousands of people every single day. That's draining, that's exhausting. And I'm gonna speak for myself, but I'm sure there's others that can agree that your timeline ain't 100% Islam all the time. It's not that clean every single time. So you can't tell me you just are getting the most spiritual rush every time you log on to Instagram. Like, no, and maybe you are, and if you are, praise to Allah, but that's just not my timeline. That's just not what, but it's draining. It is draining. There's always something going on. There's always some drama that gets reposted. So taking a step back is really essential. And I've had to take several steps back. Yeah. I had to take several of those in my, entire time being on here since I was 13 years old. And even still a decade later, I'm still having to take breaks and step back and step away and just know when that time is needed, but also know essentially who it's for and what it's for in the first place. And if the end goal is the resurrection of the dead, then that seems to be something you should want to keep going for.
Praise be to Allah. I would just add, when I was first coming in, like I said, being so excited every day, every single day I was posting, but as the vaccine came rolling out, I know we had been given the truth of the vaccine. And so I began posting about that as well. I used to do live videos and things like that. And I was posting so much, I ended up being shadow banned, almost pretty much all of 2021. There was some days where I got 0 views in 24 hours, like 0. I'm like, golly, I'm trying to raise the dead. I'm trying to share what I just got. And then pretty much all of 2021, starting that February, I didn't really get over 24 to 30 views. I'll be good if I got 50 to 60 all year. Mind you, coming from the world, I used to just post foolishness, getting 300-400 views and things like that. But I was reading Our Savior Has Arrived during 2021. Every day on my lunch break, I would go to the library and read. And then I read this, and this is from chapter 11 of Our Savior Has Arrived, which is a transcript of Savior's Day 1969. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is quoting Master Fard Muhammad. He said, "Open them up, Elijah. Here are the keys, and tell them to come forth, that I am here. Tell them I will set them in heaven at once. Money, good homes, friendships in all walks of life. Tell them that I have come for them. Tell them that I will walk up a mountain 40 miles to teach just one of them. Tell them, Elijah, I love them." So when I heard specifically that 40 miles part, just to teach one, I'm like, all right, I can't give up, because there are plenty of times, even today, where it's like, even if you get in the views, you be like, is it really worth it? Like, are people actually paying attention? Are people even reading what I'm taking the time to clip up or transcribe? And, or are they just tapping through my stories? But every now and then, the God, when he senses that from you, he'll send you somebody that says, man, I love what you're doing. Keep it going. Keep posting. I really like what you just shared. Or, it'll just be a small interaction that gives you the energy to continue to keep going. So, and breaks are important. Like our sister Nzinga said, breaks are crucial, because if you don't, social media will literally suck you in to where you can't even you don't even want to talk to nobody in real life. You just want to scroll on your phone, talking like, it's crazy. So you really do have to take that time to detach. Yes, we want to share. Yes, we want to raise the dead, but also we have to remember that we're human beings, social beings. The human being isn't meant to be alone. So we have to have those actual real life physical interactions, and then you need to also be telling that person about the teachings. Don't just think it's limited to your story or your Instagram or your Twitter. You know, we're raising the dead every chance we get. That's what we strive to do. So I can't even remember the initial question, but I just want to say, yeah, sometimes it does get discouraging, but I see the minister, he's been doing this almost 70 years. I think it was Savior's Day 2021 at the table, when he was like, some of you talk about you're tired, but I don't see you working that hard. You definitely ain't worked as hard as him. I mean, my God, 3 World Friendship Tours. I don't want to get off into all that, but I'm just saying that I don't use being drained to continue to completely take me away from the mission. Yes, breaks are important. They're key. I encourage them, but also don't let it be like, man, I feel like this is not worth it. Ain't nobody paying attention. I'm not getting any likes, any views. So let me just not do it at all. So that's my answer.
Thank you very much for that answer, sir. Sister Medina, would you like to answer this question?
I think they answered it for me. Beautiful answers, by the way. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so that was our last question. Thank you again, Sister Nzinga, Sister Medina, and Brother Jevon for joining us. We appreciate your thought-provoking comments, and we pray that the audience enjoyed the discussion. If you did enjoy it and you would like to hear more, please follow us at Official Youth Committee. And if you are interested in helping out and joining the Youth Committee, make sure to fill out the volunteer form in the bio at Official Youth Committee. If anyone has any closing comments, you can say that now. Does anybody have any? No closing comments. Go ahead.
I always try to close out the master call with this: continue to hearken unto the voice of God. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, he just spoke at Student Minister Jabril's burial service, also Janaza, also the National Training Conference, also his birthday anniversary commemoration, and also Savior's Day. So we do have a lot to feed from. If you would like to watch any of his replays, you can go to NOI.org and watch all of his recent content there. So that's closing remarks for me.
Thank you, sir. Is that all for everybody?
I don't know how to follow up with hearkening to the voice of God, so I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I just always want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak, and just very grateful to be here. And of course, like Brother Jevon said, we're all striving. I can tell you right now, I'm not the example of what you should do with social media, but I'm striving to be an example. But the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan are our examples. So like he said, hearken to the voice of God. Hearken to the voice of God.
Yes, ma'am. I hope everyone has had a wonderful time and continues to enjoy their evening. That's all for today. As-Salaam Alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.